So there's a lot of options for tub surrounds as far as waterproofing the shower surround. And I'm often asked, what's the best way to go? Which way do you normally go about installing a tub surround with tile? And that is a tricky question. A lot of times, some of the materials aren't in stock in a lot of places, so I just basically get what's convenient and what's local. And really, at the end of the day, you're basically achieving the same goal all the way around. You're just waterproofing behind the tile and making sure that there's no water that can penetrate behind the wall. That's really the end goal. So whichever fashion you go with, it really just comes down to the method of installing it and the time that it takes to do it. So there's really two ways that I ultimately do it. And it really comes down to a budget standpoint and a time standpoint. So for instance, one of my favorite ways to go is to use Go Board. This is just a waterproof board. You use a sealant application to install this. It's very quick. It's very easy to cut because it's foam board. There's no dust. And, you can really get a quick, efficient way out of this. I could probably install this entire tub surround in about an hour and 20 minutes. And then I'm ready to tile within an hour after that. So within 2 hours, I could start tiling over this. The other way is, it's not really a different way, but it's a different product, and that's Wedi. Now, the one thing I love about Wedi is that it's waterproof all the way through this entire foam board. So this is very durable. Even if I just even nick it or whatever, if I had to make an adjust cut on the tile, I can do that with my grinder. And if I penetrate the membrane surface, I don't even have to worry about it. So it's really nice with that. Only problem is it's sometimes hard to get and fairly expensive. This is probably one of the more expensive methods to go, but it is very, very durable, and there's a lot of aspects about it that's really worth considering. It's also a sealant application, so it's really quick. Again, probably do this tub surround about an hour and 20 minutes, and I can start tiling within an hour after doing this. So, you can't really beat that. And then really the second option I normally go with, and this is just an expense proposition, that is putting drywall on the wall and just using a membrane. So there's many different membranes out there. They all basically set the same. You basically just are thin setting them into place. But this is this is probably the most affordable way to go because you're just buying the membrane, you're thin setting it on. So it is a little bit more time consuming in a sense. I could probably still get this done in about an hour and 20 minutes. But if if you don't do a lot of thin set preparation, that can take a little bit more time. It's a little bit messy. But you could pretty much really directly install the tile right over this right after you're done thin setting it. So there's a lot of nice things about that. So that's what we're going to do on here. The other thing I would mention is that if you were a GC, if you're a general contractor and if you're building a home, if you're doing a major renovation, you can have your drywall guys just drywall everything, including the shower, and then your tile guy comes in and sets the membrane. So that's kind of a nice feature there that kind of saves a little bit of money, not having to pay another contractor to put in the drywall. So it's a nice option. And then you can't really forget the traditional route, which would be cement board. And installing cement board would require a waterproofing over top. That is probably relatively the same price as doing a membrane system. The only problem is it just takes a little bit more time for the drying and be able to get onto the tile work. Plus, cement board is not very it's very difficult to cut. It's dusty, kind of makes a mess. But it does have a rigid backer. So there's a lot of people out there that just love cement board. I think that's the best thing for showers, but you have to waterproof the surface. So there's prep work with that. So really, I probably wouldn't be able to tile a cement board system for about 4 hours, 5 hours after I install it. If you use Red Guard, which is very popular, you might as well forget it. Just do it the next day because it takes a while for that to dry, and you need to have that membrane completely dry. Red Guard almost always requires 2 coats. Most of the liquid waterproofings take 2 coats, but Red Guard really takes a long time to dry. And so, yeah, you're really looking at it a full day of just waiting and starting the next day. But a lot of people, that's not a big deal because, that's what your task was for the day, was just to get the waterproofing up and then you're tiling the next day. So maybe that's not even an issue. But overall, all the methods for tile or tub surrounds are fairly inexpensive as far as waterproofing. So they kind of all are relatively the same price. So it's just a matter of the method and the ease of installation. But we're going to do the membrane in this one. So we're going to show you how to go about doing that. And so, yeah, stay all the way through the end. I got a lot of great tips that'll be able to help you out.